What's up, everybody? We're back to another episode of the Teach One podcast. I'm your host, I'm Tyrone Richardson. I am joined today by Mr. Jesse White III. Me and Jesse White go way back. Thank you for coming on to the show, my brother.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
How you feeling this evening?
Oh, phenomenal. Even better now that I'm here on the Teach One podcast.
All right, cool. So me and Jess go way back because I've had we both in Bloomfield at some point. Him as an educator, me as a resident, and I've had my nephew, my stepson, my own son come through your area, your way, some way or another, to be educated by you, and they swear to God that Jesse White is the best teacher that they've ever had, and who is now currently the Bloomfield High School principal, correct?
That's right. And the feeling's mutual. You know what I mean? All of them left their mark. And it's been an honor and a privilege to see them grow into, young men and
Yeah.
make their impact in the world for sure.
I feel you. Thank you very much on that. So we're gonna start with congratulations. You just got an honor from being a fraternity. First of all, what fraternity are you down with?
A Phi A every day. You already
Okay.
know.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Come on
affiliated with
now.
anything. They
Come on.
all tried to go after me. I was like, nah. No, sir, I'm just playing.
Hey, it's the first of the first. You got on red right now, right? And red is the cap is the pretty boys, But,
Yeah.
but the Alphas got the whole thing started. So, that's what I'm a part of.
Okay, good. And what was that award that you recently received?
So it was a legacy award from the National Panhellenic Council, which is, a group of all of the fraternities, the Black fraternities and sororities, just recognizing some of the work that I had done in education and in the community. So it was such an honor, it's always an honor to be recognized by, your peers, your colleagues, and folks in the community, just, sort of like seeing what you do.
All right. So, Mr. Principal, we're going to get into some other stuff that you've done as well. I got one of your books right here. A is for Affirm. You got your anti-camp movement going on, kingdom culture movement going on. But I want to know first where this all started. Where were you born and raised at?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut. North end of Hartford. Shout out to the North End,
Mm-hmm.
right on Edgewood Street.
Okay.
And I spent the first 18 years of my life until I went to college in the North End, right? So I know that a lot of folks, oh, nothing good can come out of the North End. Well, I'm telling you, there's a lot of great. Forget about good. There's a lot of great that comes out of the North End of Hartford.
Okay. And what schools did you go to in the North End of Hartford?
So actually, I went to school. I went to school in private school, right?
Oh,
So
you got the private school stuff. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I
But
started. So St. Justin's is right on Blue Hills Avenue,
yep.
right? And now it's Jamoki, but at the time it was St. Justin School. I went there from kindergarten to fourth grade, and then they closed down. And my parents had a decision to make, right? Like, do we allow our son to go to the school around in the corner, or do we want him to continue with the private schools? And so I went to St. Bridget School, which is in Elmwood, from sixth grade to eighth grade. And then I went to the Northwest Catholic High School, right? And so that's basically where I had my K-12 experience.
Okay. So what was it like? Because your parents are ministers.
That's right. My
Okay.
dad's a bishop and my mom's an
Yep.
elder for sure.
Yep. Shout out to Miss White, one of our principals that was in Harvard as
Right.
well,
That's right.
educator for life.
Yes.
Man, so what was it like going to private school and growing up in Hartford in the North End, and you were from private school?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting because there are a lot of us. So when I think about on my street, the
Hmm.
next three houses from me were all owned by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Dawes. And Mr. Dawes had his family living in those three houses. He was a professor, and I found this out when I got a little bit older. But he was a
Yep.
professor at UConn, right?
Okay.
And his son Kai and Alana Dixon and like all of them, they all went to the same schools I went to.
Okay.
So I really didn't know anything any different until the Dakers moved on our street. And
Okay.
it was like three boys in the Dakers household, and they went to like Fox. I think
Okay.
Joe went to Weaver.
Yep.
But it was like I really didn't understand. Like I just thought, hey, this is school, right? I didn't know everybody didn't go to St.
Where you
Justin's.
went to, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. All my friends when I went,
When did
all
you
my
find
friends
that out? Did you find that out like the hard way, or was that like,
probably, I wanna say maybe when I got into high school, I realized, like, "Hold up, like, nah, everybody's not going to Northwest," right? Like,
yeah,
and so, like I
yeah,
said, Joe, I was like, "Where'd Joe go to school?" "Oh, he goes to Weaver." Some other ones went to Hartford High or whatever the case
got you.
was.
Yep,
But, or, when I was in high school, I also started playing football, and so, some of my friends went to Bloomfield schools, some of them went to, so it was like, "Oh, okay, like, this is sort of like where everybody's spread out." But I thought my experience was just so like everybody's experience. I really didn't understand. I went to St. Justin's for like pre-K,
yeah.
and so I would walk down to my mom's classroom afterwards because I'm sorry, Mark Twain, and so she
Oh,
would,
Mark Twain was your
yeah. So I
favorite.
went to Mark Twain. I was in Mr. Bailey's class, and for pre-K, and then I would walk down to my mom's class. She was a kindergarten teacher at the time, and so I went there for a little while, but I think I just thought everybody's experience was like my experience. I really
Yeah,
didn't understand the difference.
that's cool that your mom was a teacher in the school. You was already set up for success that way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's dope. So in school, did you have a favorite teacher at any of your years throughout school?
Yes. So my favorite teacher then is my favorite teacher now, a lady by the name of Miss Hart. She was my algebra teacher at Northwest Catholic. I had a couple of others that I really I enjoyed their classrooms. I remember Miss Callahan, I remember Miss Price, and those were like elementary and middle school teachers. Miss Andrusia, my fourth grade teacher, I never forget. I won a science fair in Miss Andrusia's class. And in high school, I remember Mr. Carney, Mr. Meskel. Mr. Carney was an English teacher, and I patterned a lot of my teaching style after his. But Miss Hart takes the cake. Like
Miss
Miss
Hart
Hart,
takes the cake.
um, she was not only she was a younger teacher.
Yep.
She was an algebra teacher, very very clear, right? I think my mathematical foundation really started with her. My love for math, the fun that I had in math
Yeah.
was in her class. And as an adult, I found out that she was a runner because I run a lot.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. It was around COVID time, and I was running a marathon, and she was going to run a marathon, and the whole thing shut down. We were going to do it together.
Okay.
The whole thing shut down because of COVID. So we ended up having to do the virtual, and so she did the virtual, and this lady showed up at my house. Now I'm a grown man at this
So
point. I
time
got
out. So virtual means that what's a virtual
a
marathon?
a virtual marathon is almost like an on my honor marathon, right?
Okay, got you, got you.
Yeah, you got your watch or whatever,
Yep. Yep.
and you run your 26.2 miles, and then you send your time
Time out.
in.
Time out again. The full marathon? I've done a half. I get it, but the full thing?
The
Okay.
full marathon, man.
Okay.
And but this lady shows up at my house at 5 in the morning with some cookies, like I'm still a high school kid, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, like we still communicate, and everybody loves Miss Hart. Shout out to Miss Hart,
Man,
Northwest
that's dope that
Catholic.
you still
Yeah.
forget just know her and giving her flowers and sending all that love. You still, was she running now too?
I'll be honest, Miss Hart, I know she was doing at the time of that race. So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking maybe 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago. At the time of that race, she was still running 10 miles every Saturday.
Man, that's dope. So shout out to
That's like
Ms.
the
Hart
thing.
as well, your favorite
Yeah,
teacher, and she was your algebra teacher.
that's right.
But you ended up okay. So before we get to what you ended up teaching, what was was math your favorite subject?
Science was my favorite subject.
Okay.
Science is my favorite subject. And I think part of it because it was really challenging for me in high school.
Yep.
Um, I wasn't a straight A student in science, and so I think the challenge and as well the curiosity was what drew me to science.
Okay.
Math, I would say math came relatively easy because I looked at it as a puzzle. You know what I mean? It's like I know that there's a solution to this, and I just got to figure out how to find that solution. So I like that piece of it. But the science was like, especially when we started getting to physics, and when you started to get into to sort of like that higher level science, it was really when I was like, hey, this is not easy. I got to work at this, and so I really enjoyed that.
So when did you know that you wanted to become a teacher?
Actually, it was I had gone to college and I wanted to be a pharmacist. Initially, I wanted to be a physical therapist. I worked in a physical therapy clinic. I was like, nah, this is not for me. It just wasn't really, it wasn't as interactive as I would have liked. And then I said, okay, what is something that I can use, or that I can do, I should say, to use my communication skills, to use, the fact that I'm a people person. And
Yeah.
so I thought, hey, I'm going to go into pharmaceutical sales maybe. And
I
so
don't
I
know who.
worked at
I really don't know who says that. Who pharmacy?
a
What college did you go to?
So I went to Sacred Heart University,
Okay, you went to
um,
Sacred Heart, and you majored in
biology.
biology. All right.
Yep,
So
yep.
you got a degree and was still trying to figure it out, or in school?
Yeah, I got a degree and I was still trying to figure it out because at that time I said physical therapy is not what I want to
Right.
do.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
And so when I graduated, I said, hey, maybe I'll be a pharmaceutical sales rep, right? Um, and partially because you get to talk, you get to sell, and I'm not gonna say you get to sell drugs, but in reality, that is what it is, right?
I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of.
Came from no, I'm
You're
just
right.
joking.
You're right. Hustling, right? But anyway, I
Right.
was thinking of Will Smith movie when he was trying to sell the machines.
Oh,
When he was
right,
with
right,
his
right,
son.
right, right. Pursuit of
Wow.
Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness. Oh my God, I cried at that movie so bad. I'm
That
sorry,
was
I
a good
cried
one.
at that movie
That
so
was a
bad.
good one.
But
That
he
was a
was
good
running around trying to sell machines. That's what I thought. I
Yes.
wasn't thinking about selling drugs. But go on,
No,
go
I mean, you going, hey,
on.
this drug is better than that one and
Right,
this and that and
right,
the
right.
other.
They're all drugs.
And so, but then I worked in a pharmacy. I was a pharmacy tech at CVS, and I was like, this is the worst. No, not casting any, aspirations
Shade
on
towards them. I
anybody
got you. Yeah,
who you know, is in that, but
yeah,
it just wasn't fun. And the pharmacist was always, I should say, aspersion. The pharmacist was always like upset. She was sort of crotchety. She would go out and back, take a cigarette. It was just like, nah, I don't want to do this. And then I also got to see the hard side of it, where you got a person who's an elderly person who doesn't have the proper insurance, needs this medicine in order to survive,
yeah.
and one pill costs $500, and that person has to come out and get that heart medicine for $500. And I was like, man, I don't like, and wanting to just say, hey, miss, take the whole thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but knowing you would get in trouble for that, I was like, there's something wrong with this, right?
Hmm.
I didn't resonate with that at all.
Okay.
And so my mom said, being an educator, hey, you've always done well with kids. You've always worked with kids in the
Listen to
church.
the family
Why
business.
don't why don't you, right? And she knew what she was doing. Why don't
Mhm.
you try to substitute teach?
Substitute.
So I said, all right, I'll try it out. I went and I'll never forget my interview, and it's bad because I put people through the ringer now with interviews and all of that kind of stuff because I understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
On my interview, I'm not gonna go into the whole interview, but let's just say it wasn't what I would have done. Right? It was really, really easy for me to get into the classroom. It's almost like, oh, you look like you can handle yourself, like one of those.
Hmm.
Went down to the classroom, and it was a math class actually, and he said, hey, we're on chapter one,
Do your
start with
thing.
chapter one and keep going through the book.
Hmm.
Right? No curriculum, no anything. It's
What
just
grade
like,
was this?
was that,
What grade was this?
this was eighth grade.
Eighth grade. Ooh.
Yeah, middle school. Threw
Middle
me to the
school.
wolves, right? And he was like, I want to say it might have been a Thursday. He was like, hey, Monday, I'm out. My wife got a job down in Trumbull, and so we're moving. And so Carl Nobelski was the vice principal who interviewed me. And I got in there, and it was like I instantly fell in love with it.
What school was this?
This was Carmen Aires Middle School.
Carmen Erase Middle School. Shout out to
Yeah.
Carmen Erase. Shout out to
Yes.
Principal Ellis. All that good stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes. So, we have fun. The kids like me. I like the kids, and we learned. You know what I mean? And we learned while having fun. And so for me, it was like I was so like having fun as opposed to now I see folks. Oh my gosh, I got to go to work. It was like, no, I'm going to meet with my students. Like these are my
Yeah.
students. And that was like a big deal for me. Like no, I have students, and we had a lot of fun. Some of my first students, I'm still like, I see them today, and it's like, oh, what's going on, Mr. White? Hey, how you doing? And my first kids are like 39 now. You know what I mean? Close to 40 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to think about stuff like
Right.
that.
Hey,
So no,
I
I'm
know
not
you
going
guys.
down that road. I'm not going down that road. How old they are, running around here with
Yeah.
other kids and stuff. No.
I saw somebody coming out of Whole Foods and I was like, "Hey, Mr. White, how you doing?" I said, "How old are you now?" He said, 39. I said, "Oh my goodness." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you getting up
So,
there.
we started, and then from there, because I didn't have my math, I didn't have any certification, right?
Right.
And so I said, you know what, let me go back and get certified. But I had so many credits in science, and that was where my passion lied.
Hmm.
I went and got my certification for science through the ARC program. Shout out to the alternate routes certification.
I taught in that.
And
I taught math methodology in
oh
that
yeah,
program. Yep, for sure. Yep.
I'm telling you, to have like other world experience and then bring that to the classroom, I think is like one of the better ways to go through it,
Hmm.
and so we have fun, and we got Troy Wortham. I don't know if you ever heard of Troy
Yeah.
Wortham. He
Yep.
was yep.
Yep.
So Troy took over for math, and I went to science, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. And you was at Common Race for how many years as a teacher?
For 11 years.
Yep. And
Yep.
then after becoming a teacher, you went to what was your next step?
So I went to Bloomfield High School as a school improvement specialist. So that was like one of those pseudo administrative
Yep.
jobs, right? And
Okay.
I can remember that year, even though I was happy to elevate, it was one of the toughest years of my career
Hmm.
because I went from, the beloved, oh, Jesse White, he's everybody's friend and all of that, to not being a full teacher
Yeah.
and not being an administrator, right?
Yep.
And so I remember folks like, "Hey, what is Jesse doing?" And that was the first time like somebody really was like, "What is Jesse doing? Like, why is he in my classroom? Why is he?" And it's like,
And
"Hey, it's
you talk
still
about school improvement too. So school improvement. I know those days. We're not messing around. I'm here to check on what you're doing so you can do better by our students. And you're not very popular when it comes to that.
right, not
That
at
kind of
all,
role. Right.
not at all." And again, but with no clout, right? No, ability to say no. This teacher needs to do A, B, and C because I was still in the teachers union, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was a real lonely time in my career, at least that first year, where folks who I was friendly with were like, they were sort of guarded, and I understand why, right? Like, but they were just really sort of guarded as to like what they would share with me, the conversations we would have, and so I found myself many days being like, hey, I'm just sort of like out here by myself. I'm grateful though for the administrator I had at the time, Sam Galloway, who's now superintendent in Summers, and I also worked with Joe Narain. And
Well,
then,
hi, Jill. Hi, Jill. Courtney says hi. Every time I hear
yes,
Jill Lorraine,
yeah,
I think of Courtney. So
Joe
I say hi
Narain
to her.
was a godsend
Yep.
at that time. God rest his soul, Stacy McCann, um,
Hmm.
was a part of that team a little bit later on, and then
Dr.
the
Bailey.
great Dr. Bailey,
Dr.
Dr. Bailey,
Bailey. I'm getting
yeah,
her on the show. She texts me. I got to get on. Yep. Shout
yes,
out to
yes,
Dr.
yes.
Bailey.
I'm telling you,
Auntie.
she's the guru. She's the
Yes.
guru. Seriously. So I had a great team. Yeah.
And after that, you went to a spell. I think it was what Metacomet before you came back to the high school, and then
So yeah, I became director of numeracy and science at the high school because
yep,
that school improvement position was only a 3-year position because we had gotten a grant,
yep.
and so I became a director of numeracy and science at the high school, then vice principal of the high school, and then I left and went to Metacomet Elementary School for two
Yep.
years.
Yep. And then went
And
back to
um and blessed for that. Shout out to Metacomet and all the staff
that.
members there, and then came back to Bloomfield High School as principal on assignment, and then finally the principal.
So congratulations being a principal. I tell this to everybody. I told this to a group of students at Central Connecticut State University today. Throughout my trajectory, and I've done a lot of things, being principal was the best job ever.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
stand on that, at least for me, because I had a ball with it. So congratulations on being principal. How are you
appreciate it.
liking being principal?
I love it. I love it. It's again, I like a challenge. And so I get the opportunity again to have fun, to shape and mold a learning institution, which is going to impact my community, right? Which is going to impact the world. And so I love the fact that I get to make decisions that are going to mold and shape, what our community looks like. And so it really is, it's a lot of fun. At the same time, the high school principalship is like another beast, is another layer. And I'm not only uh shaping our own school, but I also have to think about, what happens out in the community, because my kids are largely independent, right? Especially once you get to your junior and senior year, you know, some of our students are doing things outside of school, some great and some not so great. So there's always like a level of like latent pressure
Yeah.
on a high school principal.
So what's what's it like being in so Bloomfield High School? Give me how many students it is, and I was getting into the makeup, the demographics of Bloomfield High. Can you share that?
So right now we're actually, our enrollment in Bloomfield period is down, right? So we're at about 484 right now
Okay,
at Bloomfield
small
High, and a lot
community.
of
Yeah.
folks think that BHS is big because we do very, very well athletically and all of
No.
that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But Bloomfield is really it's sort of a small school. Um, Within that school, I'd say we have around 95 to 96% of our students are students of color. We have a growing population of students who are coming from other countries, and a growing Hispanic population within our school. We're about 50% free and reduced lunch. Roughly 15% of our students receive special education services. And at the same time, we managed to hover around where the state is in terms of our school performance index.
Yeah.
Within our district reference group, we are right around the middle. But then when you compare us to other like magnet schools and things of that nature, we do very, very well. Um, that's just sort of like a small breakdown. But we have people, and we were just talking about this before. We have people who graduate from Bloomfield High School and really go on to touch the world. Um,
Yeah.
whether it be in our local community or whether it be internationally. We have students who are proud war hawks who go and do big things.
No, and I can tell firsthand, right? Again, having children go through the Bloomfield school system, I'm all about Bloomfield. But looking at you, you just said the demographics are about 95 to 96% students of color. So you just through your career, and of course, we can attest we're both black men. What's the pressure like, or what is it like now being a black man as principal in a black school, basically, or a school that's made up of black and brown children for the most part? What's that pressure like on you, or how do you feel about that?
For me, it's not necessarily pressure in a negative sense. I look at it more as a responsibility, right? I have to be responsible to show these young men how to be a man of purpose, a man of character. And then I also have to show my young ladies, what a strong black man is and can be, right? I have three daughters myself. My oldest actually graduated from BHS class of 23, and my middle child is now a sophomore at my school. The Lord will delay is coming, right? We Yeah,
So I
yeah,
just got to say, first of all, you said you got three girls,
that's right.
but daddy's watching over you because
Oh,
you going to the
man,
school that I'm principal in.
yeah, and not to change the subject, but for my girls, I know it's another like my oldest and I have been able to have conversation about just different things that they go through
Yeah.
because of the fact that their father's the principal. And there are certain things where, they walk in a room and everybody goes quiet because they think we're talking about,
Yeah. Yeah.
when in reality, like when we come home, it's like, this is my daughter. I'm not your principal. You know what I mean? And I have raised them, my wife and I have raised them in such a way that they would never need to interface with me for anything negative anyway. You know what I mean? It's just they're good kids. I say it all the time, like God bless me with some good girls, and so I always look at how would I want who would I want them to be looking at in terms of a male role model, and that's how I try to be for all of my students.
For sure. I'm glad, that's happening for you, especially with your daughters like that, and that you equate what you would want them or who you would want them to see in their principal or their leader, man. What's the toughest thing about going to work every day in today's society working with our students?
I think one of the toughest things for me is when you see students who, um, you know where they're going because you've been there. And there's a saying that says, like, experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your experience. So it's
Okay.
like I've already taken the bullets, I've already taken the heat so that you don't have to, right?
Mhm.
And wanting to shield them from that, at the same time understanding that some they have to go through that in order to be who they're going to be, right? And so it's just like a parent, right? I think that's one of the tougher parts of parents. You want to give your children the best, you want to give your children the things that you didn't have. At the same time, sometimes that can stifle their growth,
Yeah.
that can, handicap them. And so it's the same thing for my kids, is that it's like, man, if you could only see like what I'm trying to shield you from, right? But at the same time, understanding that they have to be kids and they have to go through things and they got to bump their heads and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's the most difficult.
And so I can concur 100% as a parent and as an educator, right? Whether I was when I was a teacher or a principal, you know it, you can feel it, you've been through it, and you want to tell them and you want to help them and you want to support them, like your own children, and you're like, listen, let me tell you, this is what you need to focus on. I'm telling you right now, if you
Yeah,
do it this way, you good. And you see them just like, whatever. And I mean, a lot of it is brain development, right? It's not, I'm not ready. I don't have executive functioning skills right now to organize my thoughts the way that you want me to right now, Mr. Rich. I want to do it this way. And you're like, I'm trying to help
yeah,
you, but you know what you do? You got to go through it the way you need to go through it, and then you're going to learn. I just don't want, whether it's my own children to other children, to have to go through too much pain or too much hurt when it's that much easier. And I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you, sometimes other cultures, other families, other people in other positions, sometimes it's natural for them, it's normal for them. They okay, fine, I'm gonna do it this way, and they set up for that. But
right.
in some situations, kids in our culture, they hard headed. They don't want to listen sometimes, and it just makes it that much more difficult. It's like you said, I went through it, so you didn't have to go through it.
Yep.
Work with me.
The other thing too is sometimes in other cultures you can mess up 3, 4, 5 times and you still gonna be okay.
This is true. You're gonna be all right. And we know if you mess up one time in this culture,
That's it.
you're gonna be. It's gonna be a long time with you digging out yourself out of that hole
That's
if you
it.
dig out at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, cool. Getting into other ways that you are trying to reach and do your work, right? Like not only are you an educator, and I know you're a religious man, you're well into church as your family is, but you got a couple other things going on that I got to touch on before we wrap this up, and we could talk forever. You know how you and I do.
Yes. Yes.
The first one is this golden piece of literature right here.
Yes,
A
sir.
is for affirm, right? And
Yes.
this is
Yes.
written by Jesse White III, and
Yeah.
it's illustrated by his daughter Savannah. But
Yes.
talk to me about this book.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you brought that up because a lot of the things that we do are born out of just a need that we see, right? That's one of the things that I learned even in science, right? They say invention is there's a saying about invention, right? Being
The
the
necessity of
yeah, necessity or born out of necessity.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I realize every day how many young people, and when we were younger, I feel like I don't know if it was tougher skin or whatever, we could rank on each other and we'd be okay the next day,
You be
right?
fine.
At least we thought we were okay, right?
Right.
Nowadays, there are so many young people and even older people who, they um, get really really down when somebody says, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing," or you're less than, or you got a big nose, or you got
Yeah, yeah,
buck
yeah,
teeth,
yeah.
and
Yep.
they're really down on themselves. So, what that book is talking about, I believe, there's a scripture that says we are fearfully and wonderfully made, right? It says, "My lips will praise you, God, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and that my soul knoweth right well." And so it's like if we are made in the image of God, like everything that we are, is amazing. And so in that book, it's just a book of affirmations, um, that go from A to Z
Yeah.
from a biblical perspective, right?
Hmm.
And so again, it was born out of just what I saw, and then a lot of the stuff too is like what I want my daughters to internalize. I want them to know there's a quote that we have, and even when I do my fatherhood monologue, I say it. It says, "I am the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I'm the lender and not the borrower. I was created in the image of God Almighty. Because He is the creator, I'm creative. Because He is King, He has given me dominion over all the earth. I dominate. I'm anointed, I'm blessed, and I'm covered by the blood of Jesus." So it's all of that, right? Wrapped up in that one particular book. And you read it every day, you read it to your children, they have no choice but to get it down on the inside and know who they are.
No doubt. And so, man, first of all, I got chills from all that, right? I
Man,
really need to be in church more.
come on over, come on over.
Come on over, come on over. The pictures in the book of the students, though, right?
Yeah,
So yes, and I will try to show a little bit here if I can. I am
yeah,
an overcomer,
yeah,
someone who's obviously going through, right, something medically.
yes,
I am peculiar,
yep.
right? The
Can't put
picture you
vitiligo.
chose, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, in the scripture passage that is from the Bible as well, what made you choose the different images in the book?
So what I said to Savannah was, first of all, the one on the
And
on
first
the
of all,
front.
Savannah, holy smokes, she got to do my next book. I got to talk to Savannah. These pictures are phenomenal. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, no. I said to her, I want children from all over the world who are going through different things, right? Different walks of life. And I let her run with it, right? In terms of just like what she saw. The one on the front was
Yep.
one that I said to her, like, I want a kid that looks like a king, right? And that represents us. And so she did that one. And I said, "Ooh, I like this." I said, "Now I need you to give me 25 other ones, right? And you can do whatever you want." And she would check in from time to time, but that's largely her imagination, her creativity that really went into it. And I thank God for the way that it came out. And then we were able to just match the particular sayings with each of um, those children, and then of course the scriptures that go along with it.
How old was she when she did this?
Savannah was 17, 16.
I love my young children, man. And I
Yeah,
run into young children all
yeah,
the time with phenomenal talent.
yeah,
Fortunately, in the work that I do now, it's when they're in trouble, right? For the work that I do now. But I'm always tapping into that energy to try to
yeah,
turn them around and figure out what they can do. And a lot of
yeah.
them are artists. A lot of them are artists, and this is phenomenal work for 17 or any age.
I would say this: a lot of the children who do get in trouble, right,
Yep.
are often children who just don't see the world the way that everybody else sees it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that in and of itself breeds creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being willing to take a deep breath, tap into that sometimes changes, these children's lives so that they become adults, who say, "Hey, you know what? I remember I was this way." And it wasn't until, Mr. Rich came in and so like gave me a different perspective,
Yeah.
um, that I was able to use my God-given ability, my talent in the way that I was created in order to be productive in my community. So there are a lot of people like that.
So talk to me now about another way that you're trying to again reach folks and put out a positive word through kingdom culture, which is
Mhm.
your anti-camp movement. And I see the hoodie on
Yes.
right there. I ain't
Yes,
got one.
sir. Yes, sir.
I would like
So,
one. I guess I got to go to the store and get
hey,
one. Go
I
on, go on, go ahead, go ahead. Talk about
got you.
that.
I got you. I got you. So with anti can't, again, I heard a lot of folks say, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't." But there's a scripture under the anti can't, Philippians 4:13, that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? And so, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ like I am, and you believe that there's absolutely nothing that He can't do, right? And then you say, I can do all things through Him, and He gives me the strength to do them, then there's absolutely nothing in this world that I can't do. And so, around that time, I was doing a lot of running and all of that kind of stuff. And there were a lot of people who would say, "Oh, I could never do this," or "I could never do that."
Yeah.
And it's like, stop saying that to yourself, right? Because you're limiting yourself. And then it sort of like caught on another, oh, I like that shirt. I like that. And so, I wrote down some like ideas about this, right? And we're just now really starting to take flight. We had a conversation with the NFL team. I'm gonna, leave it at that. But we had a conversation
Saw
with,
something at one. I don't know if it was a baseball game, football game, right? It was Panthers game. Was
yeah,
that? I was at that game too. By the way, there was the Patriots versus the Panthers.
yeah,
Total
yeah.
beatdown, total beatdown. And then they came back the next week and beat the Cowboys down. But that's another conversation for another.
My nephew is my shout out to JC Horn. So my
Yep,
nephew plays for the Panthers.
for the Panthers.
Yeah, talk about like Horn Island. That boy, they rarely throw it to his side.
Yep.
And but I had a conversation with one of their execs who saw the t-shirt that we had on that day, and we're trying to take this message, to another level.
Is New Balance gonna sign you? What's New
Man,
Balance
they
gonna
need
do?
to. Look,
Because
New
I see
Balance,
the
if y'all see
matching,
this,
I see the matching gear for New Balance all the time.
if y'all see this, I'm a New Balance exclusive. Every once in a while, I do pop up with some Jordan 3s. I love Jordan 3s.
Okay,
But
okay, okay.
New Balance, come on now, get at me. Get at
Get that.
me. I got some
Um,
ideas.
but I love the work with that. Where can we find first? Where can we find this book? Where can we find A is for a firm?
So thank you so much. A for Affirm is on Amazon right now.
Mhm.
So if you
Yep.
go into Amazon and type in A is for Affirm, we should pop up, and you can definitely get it there.
Yep.
Or
Prime it, get it a couple days. Or what's another? You got another way?
yeah, I was gonna say, if you find me on social media, reach out directly. You know what I mean? Especially in the Greater Hartford area. I'll definitely, I'm known for doing just deliveries, just popping up and giving people their stuff so they don't have to worry about, shipping and handling and things of that nature. Um, and then for the anti-can't stuff, we have
Yeah,
a
that anti
website.
can't.
Again, find us on social media. On Instagram is anti underscore can't underscore, and find us on any social media platforms. Jesse White. You can look me up there as well.
Okay. You sure that's it, man? This show, I'm trying to push it now. What's
Yeah.
Kingdom?
Hey.
What is Kingdom Culture? What's that all about? Is
Yep.
that
So
just
Kingdom Culture. People say like, "Oh, are you Democrat? You Republican? Whatever." I always say I'm Kingdom. Right. Kingdom is really like, so that word symbolizes, is a compound word, really, right? We all know who the king is, right? A king is a ruler, right? And then that dumb really stands for domain, right? So kingdom is the ruler over a particular domain, right? And culture is the arts, the laws, the customs of a particular group of people. And so, the arts, the cult, the customs, everything that we do, I believe is governed by the king, who is God, right? And so that's what kingdom culture is. It's like the big umbrella. And then within that, of course, we can be creative, right? We have, books. We got, the kingdom culture pack, right? The cards, right?
I didn't see
That
that.
talk about managing things God's way. We got, of
Okay.
course, the apparel. We got everything within this particular sphere.
All right. Well,
Speaking
I'm
of,
gonna put the website down on the bottom. You should see it
please,
somewhere at the
yes,
top bottom. You should see the website to go on to cop this stuff when you can. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Thank you for sharing this stuff, man, brother. You got a lot of things going on. I'm super proud of you
I appreciate
and
you.
all the work you're doing. But we got to get to your top five because on the Teach
Okay,
Well podcast,
okay,
we always ask our guests because school is it, right? Education is it. I like to say school saved my life. I love movies. I love shows that have to do with the work that we
yes.
do every day. So I need your top five
My
movies
top
or TV
five.
show about school.
All right, all right. So I got to start off with Lean on Me.
That's
Lean
what,
on Me.
five?
That's number one. Should I
No,
start with
see, y'all
5?
always do this. Y'all always do this. You
My
got
bad.
to start
All
with
right, all
5.
right, all right.
Start with 5 and then go to 1. So
All right.
5
So
first.
starting
What's
with
first?
number 5,
Yep.
I'm gonna start off with a show.
Okay.
And the show is Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I don't know if you remember that, right?
I remember that, man. Mark Curry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember
that's
that.
right, Mark Curry.
Yep.
And the reason why I like that is it showed a black man having
Sure did.
fun with his class. He was a basketball player who,
Yep.
became a teacher,
Yep.
and it's just like there's certain elements of that show that I'm like, oh yeah, I could see doing that. The conversations that you have with your students and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So that's number 5, Hanging with Mr.
Okay.
Cooper.
All right.
Um,
4.
Number 4 is Mr. Holland's Opus.
Okay. Why? That was
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss, I
Yes,
believe.
yes,
Yep.
yes. So he had it was a situation where he was a music teacher, of course, and I do love music. I think it doesn't take anything for me to go into a music classroom and like start showing out in music and whatnot.
Start
That's the other
vibing.
fun thing about being a principal. I could go in
Go
English
anywhere you want.
class.
Yep.
I can do that. I can go to music class. I can go to
Yeah.
gym class. I can have a lot of fun. But in that movie, there was a situation where his son was deaf, and he and his son really didn't see eye to eye because his son had a hearing problem and he was a music teacher, right?
Yeah.
And just so like the frustration there. And so there's some situations that we've gone through where I can resonate with his situation, but at the very end he sang a song talking about beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boy,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end he signed beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Cole, right? And so he was talking to his son, and
Yeah.
and for me it's like I want my girls to understand like they are the number one students in my life, even though sometimes I get really, really busy with work and all of that kind of stuff. They're my hearts. They're
They're
my
your
heart.
hearts. Okay. Good one. Good one. I got you there. Number 3.
Number 3, the Great Debaters. All
Okay.
right. So number 1 is Denzel, right?
Denzel.
Denzel.
Sorry, I blanked there. Yes,
I
Denzel.
understand, right? Denzel, and he was in a situation where, first of all, you had a predominantly black school,
Mm-hmm.
and they were debating against, I think it was Harvard.
Those top school, and this was in what year? What decade was this in? This was
I want to say this had to be in the 60s, maybe even the
it was civil
50s.
rights time, I believe.
Yeah.
I have to check myself on that. But go
Yeah,
on.
I got to go back and do. But the big thing is when I think about Bloomfield High School, right? And I just gave you the demographics. We are always pitted against those who are surrounding schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our next door neighbors are, Granby,
Simsbury, yep,
Simsbury,
Avon,
West
yeah,
Hartford,
yep,
Avon, right? So those are our neighbors. And so, that piece of being able to sort of stand up for what you believe in, show your wares academically,
yeah.
and then the fact that Denzel was an activist himself,
Mm-hmm.
and so very, very involved in the community. So that movie resonated with me. And of course, Denzel.
That's a good one. You can't go wrong with anything,
Cut that
Denzel.
out. Edit that, man. I'm nowhere near Denzel. My wife would
Editing
tell me I'm not like
anything. It's
Denzel.
all good. Your daughter's gonna have a good one with that.
Of
2.
course. 2, Stand and Deliver.
Okay.
My boy Edward James
Edward
Olmos,
James almost.
right?
Yep.
It was a story about a math teacher who was in LA. They didn't expect the kids to do well on a calculus
On the
test,
test.
and he blew it out the water and was like, "Look, this is what we're doing." And it showed all of the different issues that the kids had.
Yeah.
One having to take care of their family, another one, the parent didn't want them to be an academic,
Yeah.
and wanted them to work, and all of that kind of stuff. But he blew it out the water such to the point where, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
The state was like, "No, you guys had to have cheated."
Yeah. Yeah. You must have
They
cheated.
retested them, and they did just as well. And then they all went on to be like academics. So, I love that. I love that movie.
Okay. Nice one to choose from. Stand
Yes,
and Deliver. You
yes.
already gave up your number 1, but we got to know why. What's your number 1 again?
Man, lean on me. All right. So first of all, my line name, on my line for my
Your
fraternity
frat. Yeah.
is Joe Clark, right? And Joe Clark was a no nonsense educator. Again, another real true story, who
Yeah.
went and he turned Eastside High School around. They were one of the worst schools in their state, and
Again,
became one of the best
taking
schools.
tests. Yep.
Yeah, became one of the best schools in the state. And although my approach is a little bit different, my resolve to make Bloomfield High School the absolute best school that it can possibly be, and be one of the top schools in the state, is equal to his. So I really really enjoyed it, and it had its comical parts, it had its feeling parts,
Sure.
and it had
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. For sure. So shout out to
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman for
Yes.
that movie. I was gonna
Yes.
say shout out to Joe Clark, but shout out to Joe Clark too, I guess, but
That's
shout
right.
out to
That's
Morgan
right.
Freeman for that. Number one, in your eyes, do you want to do anything after being a principal? Is this it? You're gonna ride this out as a principal, or you want to aspire to be even more than that?
So I'll say this. I've been taught you never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing,
Mm,
right? But my number one goal and aspiration right now in my career is to make Bloomfield High School the absolute best school in the state and compete for the best school in the country.
Listen, that's such a political answer, man. It sounds like you might be mayor. Like, you might work for mayor next. You might get into politics out here, but it's
Hey,
all good.
I'm gonna
I
tell you
appreciate
this.
that.
Don't say that too loud, because in Bloomfield, you run it. No,
No.
there's a very wise man. You know him. I know him. I'm not gonna
Mhm,
say his name because
mhm,
but he said to me one time, because I was like, hey, I want to keep growing. I want to keep elevating. And he said, Jesse, growth is not always vertical.
mhm.
Sometimes growth is horizontal. You
For
know,
sure.
so where you are right now, make it the best. I will say I was one of the best teachers in the city of Bloomfield, if not, in many of my kids' eyes, I was the best, right? And so I'm at a point now where it's like, you know what? I want to be the best principal I can be for our community. I want our school to be the absolute best, and it will be. It will be. We just got to get everybody to buy into this vision, buy into this dream. And I want a school that the Bloomfield Warhawk alums can be very very proud of, and that's another part about being a high school principal, is like you're not just beholden to these kids now,
Yeah.
you're beholden to folks who graduated from Bloomfield High, who are very very proud of their high school, to say, hey, you know what, we're taking Warhawk Nation to another level.
All right. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you agreeing to come on the podcast and
Thank
discuss
you.
your education and what you're doing right now. I appreciate the A is for a firm book, man. This is phenomenal stuff. I appreciate everything you're doing in the anti-camp movement. Thank you for coming on.
Yes sir, that's right,
The
that's right.
Saturday book.
I gotta say this, man. I remember when this came out,
Yeah,
and I remember when Quadrilateral came out,
yeah,
and just sitting from afar, like I think my mom knew you first,
yep, yep,
and I sat back and I watched, like, oh, who is this guy? Tyrone Richardson. People, oh, are you related to Mr. Rich? Are you? And I was like,
yeah.
nah, like I don't. And so I gotta say, a lot of what I'm doing, is patterned a lot after. I'm always watching. I'm always watching. So keep doing what you're doing, and keep letting your light shine where you are, man. I truly, truly do appreciate you.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate that as well. So that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thanks again for Jesse White III for coming on. And that's it. So that's it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Teach One podcast. But I do have some homework for you. You got to subscribe, you got to like, you got to share with your teaching besties, and then comment on your favorite takeaways. That's your homework. Seriously, thanks for tuning in and being part of this amazing community of educators. Keep inspiring, keep growing, and remember you're teaching one student at a time and making all the difference. So see you in the next episode.